everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Toyin back again with another video. So this one is a bit of a different type of video. It's a departure. So this is going to be a story time about when I used to work for Richard and Judy. So sit back, relax, and here we go. So right, once upon a time in a land far, far away, way back when, before the dawn of man, I used to work in television. I was doing this thing called the Channel 4 Researcher Program, and this was earlier on before I became an assistant producer and so on. So I was a researcher at a company called Cactus Television, and Cactus Television is owned by Simon and Amanda Ross. Now Simon Ross is Jonathan Ross's brother, and Amanda Ross is obviously Jonathan Ross's sister-in-law. So the company was divided into two parts. So there's like the production part, which is like downstairs, and they were all the people that worked on the Richard and Judy show, like the daily shows that were on at the time. They were on Channel 4. So, and then there was the development part, which worked upstairs, and they kind of came up with new show ideas and you know, basically like try to create new programs or segments within Richard and Judy. Not segments within Richard and Judy, but like they dealt with like things like the Richard and Judy book club and tried to develop new shows for Cactus TV. So the downstairs was run by Simon Ross, and upstairs was run by Amanda Ross. So I worked upstairs in program development with Amanda Ross, and it was quite a nice fun team, and I really enjoyed it. I think I was there for like about 4 months or something, or 6 months, something like that. And so what we used to do was work on Richard and Judy's summer reads, and we also worked on like we were looking for like the next big author. So there was like a writing competition where people from around the country sent in their manuscripts, and we, you know, read through them and tried to discover who was like the next big author. And you know, at the time, I don't know how true it is now, but at the time, Amanda Ross, because of this Richard and Judy summer reads and so on, was like named the most powerful woman in publishing, even though she wasn't actually in publishing. And they used to do crazy things, like publishing companies used to send the most elaborate presentations with the books. Like I remember when A Million Little Pieces came out, they sent like this huge basket, and it had like licorice, all sorts, and all kinds of sweets and stuff like that, and like just to present the book. And then there was another book that came in this beautifully decorated, massive Moroccan tagine. This thing was like huge. It was massive. Like it was really wide. It was like maybe this wide, if you can see. So just to kind of draw your eye and stuff like that. And I ended up, do you know what? My physical book collection was built up mostly off the back of reading for Richard and Judy's book club. So I discovered, the year I worked there, we discovered books like Cloud Atlas, The Curious Incident of the Dog at Nighttime, The Mermaid and the Drunks, Carlo Ruiz Zafron. I think his book, the book that I read was The Shadow of the Wind, which I will do a review on because, okay. So yeah, so literally like I'd end up going home with crates and crates and crates of books because we'd get like 2, 3, 4 copies of each books, and that was like the best job in the world, just because of that stint that we had to do where we had to like read all these books. Anyway, so the one time that we had to they decided that they wanted to run this writing competition. So we had literally thousands of manuscripts that was sent in, and you know, trying to find the next most like the next big author, hidden gems, so to speak. And I read through, there was a lot of rubbish, like a lot of like things in there that you'd be like, do you know what I mean? I could sit down for half an hour and write this. And then there were a lot of really, really good stories. And, you know, back then, I don't think it was as easy to self-publish. I mean, devices like the Kindle weren't around back then. So authors couldn't really self-publish. And so this was like a really, really good opportunity for like the average person who just has a passion for writing but can't get a foot in the door, didn't know how to do it, to basically enter in this competition. So I felt like that really, really opened doors for a lot of people. And I felt like it was also really interesting that despite the fact that, you know, publishers were sending all these books in, because everybody that was reading was not from a publishing background, Richard and Judy's some picks for their book club and stuff like that was really, really genuinely what people enjoyed. It wasn't like, oh, you know, the publishers have sent this. Okay, so basically how it worked is that all of us in the development team will sit down and we'll read like all the books that came in, and then we'll shortlist them, like the top 10 or top 5 that you like, and then they'll kind of get passed on to the producer, and then he'll say, okay, of these top 10, which 5 do you think are actually worth reading? Then you'll kind of pass it on to the assistant producer. She'll read the 5 that you kind of thought. Then she'll say, actually, out of those 5, I like these 2. And then that will kind of get passed on to the producer. And then he or she will read the 2 that you kind of recommended, and then Amanda Ross will also read the ones that you recommended. And then so like basically there's like loads of researchers reading, right? Not just like me. So by the time the 2 from my pile got filtered down, maybe there's another 4 or 5 researchers. Everybody on the floor was reading. So by the time like my 2 got filtered down, say there's like 20 of us on the floor. There wasn't 20, but like say like 10 of us on the floor. So that's like 20 books that have been filtered down. And then Amanda, was that 20? Yeah. So then Amanda Ross would then read like the 20 and then narrow it down to like 10 or 15 that she thought were really, really good. And then Richard and Judy will read them and say, actually, these are the ones that we really enjoyed or we didn't enjoy, that kind of thing. So that's kind of how it worked. And yeah, so it was just really, really fun times. And then also with the manuscripts, it was kind of something similar as well. Although none of the ones that I ever picked out were like, were liked by anybody else. There was one book in particular. I think it was a bit kind of ahead of its time. It was written from a guy's perspective. It was it had like themes of erotica in it, but it was like this guy that was a detective. He was like a drunken, not drunk, but he had like an alcohol problem. He was a detective. It was like a twisted world where he wasn't quite, I don't know, it was kind of like he was kind of stuck between realms. Like something, like a case that he was investigating didn't quite happen in like our realm. It happened in another realm. So it was kind of like him discovering this other world that kind of existed just underneath like the world we live in. It kind of reminded me of Rivers of London by Ben Aranovich. I think is that how you say his name? So it kind of like reminded me of that, and I often wondered if you know that was actually like the first view that we had of the Rivers of London. I often wonder if that was actually the book, that manuscript actually became the book. Anyway, if it did, if you're Ben Aronovich and you remember sending your manuscript to Richard and Judy way back when in 2000 something, let me know because I might have read your book. And I thought it was really good, and that was the one book out of like the 1,000 manuscripts that I read that I actually recommended to be picked up, but I don't think it actually was. So I'd be quite interested to find out if it was. And other things that happened. Oh yeah, and then there was this one time that Bill Clinton came to the UK, and he was being interviewed by Richard and Judy, and we were looking for a gift because Amanda Ross, whenever he had like a celebrity come in, would like try and give them a gift to say thank you for participating in the show. So when Madonna came, we got her like these boots from Penhaligon's or something. They were like these gilded boots or something, and then but she decided she didn't like them in the color and she wanted them in purple, so we had to take them back. And then Christian Slater came in and we got him a lighter. So Bill Clinton came, and we discovered who one of his favorite authors was, and I think he was this Irish guy. I can't remember what his name was, but it was my job to basically get like a limited edition copy of his favorite book or the latest from the author, signed by the author, and present it to Bill Clinton. And I think I had like an 8-hour turnaround period to get this book from some obscure bookshop, fly it over to Ireland, have it signed, and flown back to the UK, and given to Bill Clinton. It was a crazy story, and apparently he loved it. It was like the perfect gift. So yeah, it was just a quick trip down memory lane of my time working for Richard and Judy, and my experiences of the Richard and Judy book club. I mean, it was just a fun. Do you know what? That was one of the best jobs early on in my career that I ever had, and because like, it was just like a dream come true. I mean, short of working in a publishing house, I can't remember or imagine it getting any better than that. I mean, they discovered like amazing authors through the book club. And I think even though the show is no longer going, I think that they still do run the Richard and Judy book club. And it was just wonderful, you know. So yeah. So if you've worked for Richard and Judy or had similar job or had similar experiences, let me know down below. If you've got any recommendation for the type of content that you'd like to see me doing, if you like this sort of story time-esque type thing, please leave some comments down below, because I'm interested in knowing what you would like to hear from me. And I can kind of share a bit more about myself in these type of videos, but they have to be kind of related to books and stuff like that. So yeah, please leave your comments down below, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to get updates whenever I upload. And until next time, bye.